On one point, which obviously Americans are very attuned to, because there's been so much propaganda about it, which is Iran supplying arms or modern weaponry to Iraqis fighting American troops? I found him very ambiguous on it.
He could not answer this question directly because, don't forget, he's a former Revolutionary Guard. The Revolutionary Guard trained the Badr organization, which is part of the government in Iraq. And some factions of the Revolutionary Guard, we don't have any proof, nobody has any proof, and the Americans don't have any proof, they may be smuggling explosive penetrators to some militias, especially in southern Iraq. There's no conclusive proof. So Ahmadinejad could never step into this mini quagmire, let's put it this way, because maybe he don't even have the answers. Maybe it's a question of rogue Islamic Revolutionary Guard commanders who are doing their own business deals with Shiite militias in southern Iraq. It's a very complex question, and there's no conclusive evidence from anywhere, not even from inside Iran.
There was one point of his speech I was quite struck by when he was asked why he wanted to go to Ground Zero, the 9/11 memorial. And he said Iran is a place that understands being a victim of terrorism.
My dear friends, the Iranian nation is a victim of terrorism. For 26 years ago, where I work, close to where I work, in a terrorist operation, the elected president of the Iranian nation and the elected prime minister of Iran lost their lives in a bomb explosion. They turned into ashes. A month later, in another terrorist operation, 72 members of our parliament and high-ranking officials, including 4 ministers and 8 deputy ministers' bodies were shattered into pieces as a result of terrorist attacks. Within 6 months, over 4,000 Iranians lost their lives, assassinated by terrorist groups. All this carried out by the hand of one single terrorist group. Regretfully, that same terrorist group now, today, in your country, is being operating under the support of the U.S. administration, working freely, distributing declarations freely, and their camps in Iraq are supported by the U.S. government.
Pepe, what is the background of this story?
He was referring to the Mujahideen Khalq. It's a very a groupuscule, as they call it in French, a very small group led by some fanatics, which was based in Iraq and protected by Saddam, by the way, and they were fighting the Islamic theocratic regime since 1979. And these groups, they have some infiltrators in Iran itself, and they've perpetrated some serious attacks in the last 10 to 15 years. Sporadic attacks, but whenever they do something, it's deadly. This group, by the way, it's still protected by the Bush administration. By any means and in any civilized country would be considered a terrorist group. In the United States, it's tolerated because obviously it's doing the bidding of the American administration. And Ahmadinejad was also referring, in terms of terrorism, to more recent attacks perpetrated by infiltrated special operations by the Americans, allied with some rogue elements, either in Khuzestan province, where the oil is in Iran, or in Balochistan, which is in the southeast, near the Balochistan Pakistani desert as well. So there's some back and forth operations by the American special forces, especially in these 2 provinces, which the objective obviously is to destabilize what they consider very fragile border provinces in Iran, one with Pakistan and the other one with Iraq. The Revolutionary Guards and the military apparatus in Iran, they are very worried about that because they consider this serious destabilization. One province is completely depopulated, Balochistan, Iran, but the other one is where the oil is. And there are a lot of Arabs that live in this province. They're seriously disgruntled vis-a-vis Tehran.
Is his charge that the U.S. is protecting the terrorist group that was responsible for these attacks, is that legitimate?
Yeah. And it's correct, because this group is, I would say it's supported even with some weapons as well. Certainly with logistics, certainly with satellite imagery, certainly with some background information, and probably with weapons.